Education Minister Dr. Blade Nzimande is expected to address the nation on the latest regarding tertiary education fees following a day of high drama in the sector. One person has died after another day of student protests in Johannesburg. There are growing calls on the minister to explain where the money from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme meant for the needy students is. The Ministry and NSFAS have come in for criticism after saying there isn't enough money for first-year entrants and other fund beneficiaries. Ishmael Mnisi is a spokesperson for the Department of Higher Education, Science and Technology. A very good evening to you, Mr. Mnisi, and thank you so much for speaking to us. Can you confirm that there is an imminent announcement, and if this imminent announcement is a result of events earlier on today?
Well, so good evening to you and to the viewers. Firstly, let's pass Minister Nzimande's condolences to the family of the deceased 35-year-old man. Following an altercation that took place this morning between the law enforcement agencies and a protesting student from the Wits University. Answering your question, you'll recall that on Monday, Minister Nzimande called an agent media briefing to indicate that there is a shortfall in the money that is meant to fund the first-year entry students who have applied for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. However, it seems as if it was understood that there is no money completely. This is not true. I can confirm that there was a shortfall, and the minister in the very same media briefing indicated that he has engaged with the Minister of Finance, and today, which was Wednesday, there will be a cabinet meeting to discuss this matter further, because in matters that affects money, there must be concurrence with cabinet, and such a meeting took place and a decision has been taken, and the minister will announce tomorrow the outcome of this decision.
You talk about an announcement tomorrow, but there's some fundamentals that we need to understand. You speak of a shortfall. Can you confirm to us that NSFAS did complete its funding assessments? Because for you to have a shortfall means you must have a number of students who applied for funding, those who were accepted, and the money allocated to those who qualified. Am I wrong?
Well, let's start it at the back. Firstly, you'd recall that if you review the year 2020, we had COVID-19 and we had to extend the help that ordinarily will give to the students in our country. We had to extend the academic year, pay their accommodation, give them the allowances that ordinarily they would not get because of who would have been in recess. Now, all of that affected the cash flow within the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. And we had to do so because we could not leave our students vulnerable at the time. And when the appropriation came for this year, we therefore in advance indicated to government, to cabinet, that there would be a shortfall as a result of the money which was used for in the year 2020.
I don't want us to run out of time, Mr. Mnisi, for very important questions. For the 2021 financial year, or academic year rather, was there a funding assessment that was completed?
A funding assessment is completed, and we are now in a position to make funding decisions following this cabinet meeting that took place today.
Okay, so how many students overall applied for funding, how many qualified, and how much money was set aside originally before you realized that there wasn't enough money?
Well, at the time of counting, we had more than 750 million students who applied, and we know that ordinarily we have less than that, and NSFAS had to budget such. And in terms of calculations, we therefore were in short of more than around 9 billion, which now we can confirm that we will be able to cover all those eligible students that were, in a shortfall. Remember, when a student qualifies as a principal, We want those students to be given an opportunity to study. Now, we could not make decisions knowingly very well that there are those that qualify, but because of the funding that is minimal, we might not be able to cover them all. Hence, the minister felt it important that he must engage his colleagues in cabinet.
Here's what a lot of students have expressed as a frustration. You say that you knew how many students qualified. There are students who've spoken to us, who've written to us, who said they never even got a letter confirming that they qualified for NSFAS funding. In other words, had they known sooner, they could have made their own means, gone out to look for funding where possible. So this is part of the frustration that we're seeing on the streets. Why wait this long? Say to students, I'm sorry, you can't register because we don't know if we have enough money. Now you're saying tomorrow we're going to make an announcement because we think we've made a plan.
So let me explain the funding process, how it works. We open funding applications for funding for 3 months, and we allow all the qualifying students who are needed to apply. We have a number of annually that a target that we'll give ourselves, and we have surpassed that target. But because of so many other reasons that Minister Nzimande has explained, firstly, that we have many families who have lost their jobs last year and who ordinarily would not qualify for NSFAS funding, we had to extend the academic year and use some of the money that we're supposed to be using this year to fund for that for the extension of the academic year. Now, we could not leave our students vulnerable and say we can't help them because of we're looking at the year 2021. As a caring government, we had to instantly make a decision that we will fund all the students in 2020, including the extended academic year, to make sure that we give them the necessary support and they pass. And confidently so, we can tell you today, Tepiso, that the majority of the students who are funded by NSFAS have passed from various universities, and we are pleased to say our contribution is very clear, it's visible, and hence we can confidently so go back to
It's such a pity that we have run out of time, Mr. Mnisi, but if you do get an opportunity to tune in at 8 p.m. when we speak to student organizations and experts, please do, because it seems to me from what you're saying that all this protesting, there was no need for it, because it sounds like you have done an about turn from what they understood you as saying to the nation, as saying to students. But thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Ishmael Mnisi, spokesperson for the Department of Higher Education.